Hey y'all, what's up, what's up, what's up? It's your girl Karaleise. Today we're going to be talking about a presentation case study. It's one of those ones that you'll get when you're doing an interview and they give you a case study. So this one is a little bit complicated because you have to deal with a physical product, you have to deal with a mobile app, you have to deal with AI and machine learning, and it's for an animal. So it's a lot of things can go wrong with this. But they gave this person this case study from a real world interview, and this was a problem that was presented. So I'm sharing it with you and I'm walking you through how you think about these kinds of problems. How do you approach it so that when you do your interview and they give you a case study like this, you should be able to answer it. All right. Now on my website, go to karaleise.com. I have a template for you to download for free where you can have a template of how to do the presentations, and it has the sections in there. So all you need to do is just fill out the sections with the particular case study that you're using. So go to karaleise.com, go to templates, go to free templates, and download that free template for you to have to use. We're going to go into the office and we are going to work through this case study, and I'm going to share with you and show you how you think about problems like these. Let's do it. Okay, so here's a presentation that we did for the pet food dispenser app. And so the first thing we have is a nice little slide that shows an intro, right? And you put your name here. And then this is the task. So you want to remind your audience of what it is that they asked you to do. So you put about the task that they gave you. And in this case, it says, we have identified a gap in the market to produce an intelligent cat dog feeder that has core capabilities to provide food, wet and dry, to pets, but go further and incorporate AI to understand behavior, spot trends, deviations from trends. Okay. And then the task is it will have a food dispenser system triggered based on the app, a camera, internet connectivity, scales, connection to the Azure ML services for capability with a stream of AI ML information to be used in the app. By the way, ML means machine learning, and of course, AI means artificial intelligence. So the ask really is, we want an app designed to deliver on the hardware we have produced that can take us to an MVP, understanding it is a starting point, not a final product. To outline the capabilities of the app to display the results, to understand user personas, to understand the user's journey or user journeys, to determine what features can be delivered. So the task and the ask. The task is that you will have this pet food or cat dog feeder that is a food dispenser system triggered based on the app, has a camera, has internet connectivity, has scales, connected to the Azure ML services for capability with a stream of artificial intelligence and machine learning information to be used in the app. So first thing you want to do when you get a task like this is you want to show them your approach. So now you've showed them, you reminded them of what the task was. So now you're going to show them how you've approached this. So the first step is you do a feasibility study. Yes, they have told you that they've identified the gap, but a part of your task as a BA is to make sure that you understand the problem well, right? So you really you take that they already identified the gap, but you want to make sure you've gone through and done the diligent work to make sure that this really is a gap. So this is the first step that you'd have, right? So you check the market. What is the size of the pet food dispenser market? Who are the key competitors? What are the features the most popular pet food dispenser products have in the market? What reviews do these products have? Who are the main customers of these products? Who are the ideal customers for this product, and what are their characteristics or their demographic? Now, you're doing this because you're going to need this information to be able to make sure you're delivering the right features as MVP, right? So this is a very crucial thing to start with. Even though they told you that they have a gap and they have identified the gap, you still have to do the feasibility study or the business case to make sure you understand exactly what you're getting into, what this feature, what this product is going to be doing in the market, so that you can have the best features and know where the product should be going. And if they've done that before, then they could share that with you. But in the absence of that, that's what you do as a BA. Now, doing the competitive analysis. So you want to do a search, do a Google search to see who are the competitors in the space, what products have they created, Look on their Amazon to see if they're on Amazon and what the reviews say, or wherever you can find reviews, maybe Google reviews as well. Go to crunchbase.com and find out about their competitor, the financial information that they have, who funded them, how much money did they raise, and things like that. You can go to YouTube itself for some, product reviews, see what other people are making videos about this product and what they think about it. And you can go to their website and see what they promote and what features they have and what they're coming up with next. So you can have a very good, well-rounded understanding of this product and the market in which it is. So in your competitive analysis, you would have uncovered these products, for example, like Chewy.com has a product similar to what we're trying to build that has an app and is a pet food dispenser. There's also Pet Libero that's doing the same thing. Pedomus is also doing the same thing. So there are competitors out there. That's a good sign, which means that somebody else has identified this gap as well and have actually developed something already, so we can see how successful they have been to know how successful we may be when we also take on the market. So outcome of the competitor research would be that you have clarity now on the size of the market, the problem the product solves, the problems with the current product offering in the market, the ideal user you're trying to target at the user's journey, and the key personas. So the next thing you have is a few assumptions that you want to clarify. So it's okay to make assumptions, so you just need to clarify them. So the assumption that we're making with this is that the market size is large enough to make the new pet food dispenser product viable, right? There are features that you can add to be competitive in the market as a new provider. So we're going to say that because we see other people doing the same thing in the market and the market size is such that they can accommodate more, there's so much more money to tap into, that we believe it's a good recommendation for us to go into this market to do this product. And that's an assumption because you don't really have hard data to really back that up, so you have to assume it. All right, so here's how you do your problem analysis. So once you've agreed that this really is a gap and we should be doing this product, then we need to understand what we're solving for with this product. So the first thing we need to understand, and that's why they ask you for the user's journey, they want you to make sure you understand who you're solving for and what you're solving. So the pet owner's time and availability is the main problem. That's who would buy our pet food dispenser, and that's who we'll be solving a problem for. Yes, we'll be solving it for the pet themselves, but the pet themselves can't actually pay us. So we're really doing it for the pet owner who can actually spend the money with us. So what's their problem? Well, they're not home to feed their pets. That's the first thing. Some of them might be traveling. They're working long hours at home without any break, and they don't have time to go feed the pet in between, right? The pet left in the care of children sometimes when they're out of town and the kids are home. Okay, we hope that the kid will, will feed the pet. But sometimes, sometimes these teenagers, they don't even remember about the pet either. The pet owner may not be physically able to replace food as often. Maybe they're disabled. They can't actually bend and change the pet food as often. And the pet may need to eat on a certain schedule, and the pet owner just can't keep up with that schedule. So those are the problems that this pet food dispenser would be solving. So we've identified user personas, which are the ideal users that we actually want to target. And that would be the busy pet owner, the disabled pet owner, the family pet owners, dogs and cats. So dogs and cats would be our ideal pets that we're targeting, and they are also personas, even though it's not a person, but they are personas. A person is a fictitious person that embodies all the demography and characteristics of the ideal person that you're targeting. So you want to build this app, you want to build this physical product as well for these personas. And if anybody else actually likes the app, that's great. But you're building specifically for these people, and that means that when they find you, they should find the thing they're looking for, right? So you can be a delight to these particular personas. So when we're building personas, we would actually map them out. We give them a picture, we give them a name, we give them occupation. They have families, they have goals, and they have frustrations, right? So it's a whole picture of this person, and you see how your product or service can fit inside of the life of this person. So the busy pet owner, we've called him Martin Gray. We've given him an occupation, which is a company director. He's very busy. He has a household income of $250,000 a year. His goal is to ensure his dog is safe and healthy. He wants to care for the dog even when he has to travel for business. He monitors that the dog is eating when he's away. He wants to provide healthy meal in timely fashion for his dog. That's his goal. So whenever we talk about a persona, they need to have goals that they're trying to accomplish, and they need to have frustrations that's getting in the way of them accomplishing those goals. And our product is going to sit between those two things and help them to not have the frustrations and actually achieve the goal they're trying to achieve. So the frustration that he has is that he's having to ask neighbors to feed the dog while he gets home late during the week, and then when he's out of town, sometimes you have to get a pet sitter while he's traveling. But the pet sitter, of course, you're worried that they're actually doing their job. They're not there. He's unable to confirm if the dog is actually being fed. He may have cameras in his house, but not every corner is going to be matched by a camera, so he can't really confirm the dog actually ate or not. He's worried about the health and happiness of the dog while he is away, and he's not realizing when he is out of dog food because he's so busy running around. He doesn't even know that he's out of dog food. Now he has to run to get dog food, and it might just be one extra thing he has to do. So those are his frustrations as far as we've been able to tell. And then we have the disabled pet owner persona. So we're going to call this person Anne Love, and we'll give her occupation of an author. She sits and writes all day, and her household income is $50,000. And her goal is to ensure her cat is safe and healthy, and care for the pet even when she has to travel, monitor that the pet is eating when she is away, and provide healthy meals in a timely fashion for her cat. So she has a cat, whereas the other one had a dog. And her frustration is that she's unable to bend and access the cat food very easily to replenish the food. There's limited mobility to check the food level, so she can't really see if it's too full or not and be able to have enough there for the cat. Having to ask others to help with feeding the cat when she's like traveling or something like that. And because of her mobility issues, sometimes she makes spills when she's trying to feed the cat. There's a mess, and it's a little bit uncomfortable. And now we have our pet persona, which is a cat or dog, and they have the same goals and frustrations. So we just put them into one persona right now, and we're going to call this animal Bubba, whether it's a dog or a cat. And the goal is to find food in a consistent place. You want to know where the food is and get refills when they need it and be able to access the food without much struggle. They don't want to struggle to fight to get the food out. The frustration is that sometimes the bowls are empty, they're hungry, they're having to indicate to their pet owner that they're hungry, and it's not always obvious what they're trying to communicate. So let's look at the user journey map. So they asked you to provide the user's journey, and the one way you can show that is with the user journey map. So we're going to do the user journey map for Mark Gray, who is the busy pet owner persona, and it has 4 different activities that Mark is going through that would impact him using this pet dispenser app. So the first thing is if the scenario is that he goes on a business trip. So when he's going on a business trip, he has to decide on the trip. So he agrees to go on the business trip without the pet, right? So he has to decide, do I need to take my dog or not? And he decides to go without the pet. Then he has to prepare. So when you're deciding, it goes up because there's some anticipation, some excitement about going on a new trip. And then you need to prepare. So to prepare for the trip, he has to search for a pet sitter. He has to decide on the pet sitter and pay a deposit for them to come in and take care of this pet while he's away. He has to purchase enough dog food to last the dog while he's gone. You have to leave access to his house to a pet sitter while he's away, so the pet sitter can come in, take out the dog, get the dog outside, and all these different things for him while he's not there. Then he has to monitor. He has to call the pet sitter to check on the pet, confirm that the pet ate, confirm the pet is okay. Then he tries to check on pet through the camera, but it's not always accurate because the camera doesn't have every single angle in the house. And then his return, he reunites with his pet and they're all happy, right? So these are the 4 phases: deciding, preparing, monitoring, and returning is what would impact him with his pet. When he's monitoring, it's the lowest point of his journey because that's where he can't see. He has to trust what the pet sitter is saying. Who knows if she's telling the truth? But the happiest part is when he comes back home and he's reunited with his pet. So he goes up in his emotions. So the user journey map is about how do they feel going through this journey. Because if you can make your product help them to feel good, then they'll be more sticky. They'll stick with your product and they'll keep using it. So we need to understand how he feels now without our product so that when we do have our product with him, then we can evaluate how we can make it better. So at this point where the monitoring is the lowest point in his journey, what can we do to improve this to make sure he's not as anxious because he's not able to monitor very well? So these are some of the questions that we consider when we're building out our pet dispenser app and physical product. So now we move into our solution analysis, right? So the solution is to develop a smart pet food dispenser physical product that can dispense food for the cat or the dog, and develop a smart app that goes alongside the physical product to control the pet food dispenser. That is a solution. All right. So now we have some requirements. So we can come up with all of these requirements, but the request is that we have an MVP. So here are some of the general requirements that we came up with based on what they told us in the task section. So if we remember what they said in the task, they said that there's a few things that this will have, which is it will have a food dispenser system triggered based on the app. It'll have a camera. It'll have internet connectivity. It'll have scales to measure the food. It'll be connected to Azure ML services for capability with a stream of AI ML information to be used in the app. So they have all of these things, but they want you to create an MVP product, right? So if we go back to our solution, we can say that among the things that we would like to have as product requirements is the pet food dispenser physical product needs to be light and easy to carry, obviously with aesthetic appeal because the human wants to look at something that's easy to look at as well. It must be appropriate height and width so it can fit into small spaces. Some of these people who would buy our product might not live in large houses. They may live in apartments. They need to make sure it's small enough to fit in a corner that the pet can go to regularly and get their food. It needs to hold at least 2 weeks worth of pet food, so it has to have the capacity for 2 weeks worth of food. Needs to handle both wet and dry pet food. Needs to easily be accessible by the pet. Needs to easily operated by the pet to dispense the food, so the pet should be able to press something or whatever and get the food to come out. Is able to have a pet cam because they told you that there's a camera, so you should have a pet cam somewhere on this device. It should be anti-spill, so if there's a way to make sure you don't end up with the pet having so much food and then flying over and causing, other things like people to slide or fall or something like that. Or how can you prevent it from being from spilling? Is there any anti-spill feature that we could have? Check if the cups are empty before dispensing more food would be one way. So you don't keep dispensing food when there's food already in there. If they have a scale, then maybe they can weigh and say, okay, this is not empty. So don't keep adding more food. Let them use the food that's already there. That's one way. It has Wi-Fi. It's kind of falling off the page here, but there is Wi-Fi as well. So the pet food dispenser is connected to the internet. And then for the mobile app that goes alongside the pet food dispenser, we have a few features as well. So there's authentication, so you can log in so that the right person is looking at the information and looking at the camera. There's obviously the webcam that you're going to manage from the mobile app. There's chatting with the pet sitter, so maybe you can send a message to the pet sitter if she has the app as well, and they can communicate that way. Alert when the food level is low to say we need to refill. Alert when pet eats, so we can say, oh, pet is eating, so it can be remember that he was worried about whether or not the pet is eating, so now we can give that confirmation that the pet started eating at the food dispenser, so he ate. Open and close the food dispenser, so you can use your mobile app to do those physical things on the physical product. Record or play feeding calls, so you could say, hey, come here, Baba, and that's recorded. And every time you play that, then the animal comes to the pet food dispenser because they think it's you, right? They hear your voice, they come towards you. Record the pet weight. Maybe they have a scale that the pet can stand on when he's eating, and they can see how if he's getting thinner or fatter or whatever. Maybe that might be helpful. Who knows? And that would be on the mobile app. Set routine feeding time, so you know that every certain time the cat should be eating or the dog should be eating, and that's when you play the feeding call to encourage them to come and eat. AI ML to learn pets' habits over time and dispense based on eating habits. So if every time the pet comes and eats in the morning by 8:30 or by 8 to 9, then it can learn that behavior and start dispensing food and make sure that if it's empty, just fill it up because they know the pet is coming to eat at that time. Learn behavior reports. If there's anything that's weird or a nuance that they can track, they can send that to the pet owner so the pet owner can know. AI to dispense based on pet weight. So if the pet is a huge animal, then dispense more. If it's a small animal, dispense less, etc. That would be something that we could have in the app. Now, Even though we can have all of these things, they did ask us for MVP. So what are the things that we don't need to have the first go, and what are the things that we should definitely have? And that's really a call for the whole team to make. But here are some examples of what we think, or you need to be able to propose some things that would be MVP. So from an MVP perspective, we want to have the product needs to be lightweight and easy to carry. That's something that's a must have, right? That's not something you can wait on. It must have the appropriate height, weight, so it's easy to fit in small spaces, which is going back to being light and easy to carry. It can hold up to 2 weeks pet food. I think we should still stick with 2 weeks. We could shave it down to 1 week at least, but I think that would be not to what other competitors are doing. So at least 2 weeks would be, I think, should be MVP. Easily accessible to the pet, that's very true, should be MVP. Ability to use pet cam, it should be anti-spill. Check if the cups are empty. Those are the things on the pet food dispenser. What we don't need necessarily for the first go is to be operated by the pet to dispense the food. It could be operated by a human. So that's not really a needed thing. But it needs to have Wi-Fi for sure, because you need to have it connected to the mobile app. So on the mobile app side, the webcam, we believe the webcam is an MVP because it's one of those things that the other products have. So if you release something with not having a webcam, it might just not be viable enough for them to buy us over the competitor. Chatting with the pet sitter, I think it's a nice to have. We could do that later. Alert when the food level is low. I think that's an important feature for a pet food dispenser. Alert when pet eats. That's an important feature. We should do MVP. Open, close food dispenser, also an important feature. So the app can open and close it. So if you're away, you can let open it and let the dog have some food without having to physically be there. Recorder, play feeding call. I think this could be an MVP or it could be a nice to have. We decided to leave it as a MVP because it will help the pet to come and eat because you can play that feeding call. So the other things that we took out in order to leave that in was recording the pet weight. We think that can be done later. Set routine feeding time, that can be done later. AI ML to learn pets' habits over time and dispense based on eating habits, that can be done later. AI to dispense based on pet weight, that can be done in another release. So we don't believe that those things are MVP, but the things that are here, we believe that has to be in the product the first time we release it to the market. So now that we have our MVP, then we can look into designing it. What does this design look like? But we could now do some design. So you could do some app design. So you could go into a tool like marvel.com. I'm gonna insert a text box here. You can go into, I'm gonna just type it here, marvelapp.com to make some designs. You could do balsamic.com. And these are the tools that you can use to create an app, a wireframe of an app, actually. So it's not an actual app, it's just a wireframe. The screens are what it looks like. So you can put it here and you can have some talking points. For the time being, I'm going to insert just some images I have, which may or may not be related to this actual pet food dispensary. But I'm going to upload some images just to give you an idea of what you could do. Okay, so I just grabbed this off the internet, but the idea here is that you'd have some design that you'd show them, some mock-ups, some wireframes that would indicate what are the features that you'd have on this app. I didn't get a chance to do that, but that's what you do if you're going to present this. And then you talk about the backlog. So they didn't ask you anything about the backlog, but you're going to go above and beyond what they asked you. So you're going to show them, here's an example of the backlog items I would have, the different epics I would have around how I would break this feature down, this design down for it to be implemented. And I'd have features like authenticate user, show pet cam, send alert when food level is low, send alert when pet is eating, open and close the food dispenser from the app, set up notification, record feed pet feeding call, play recorded pet feeding call. So these are some of the features that you'd be having in your backlog at a higher level. And then you break down these individual features into smaller user stories that would together, when they're built, accomplish the feature. So this is the backlog list that you'd have. And then you'd break up into user stories. So here's an example of one of the user stories I would write for something like this. And this could be for a story, for example, send alert when food level is low. And I would have, as a user, I want to be able to receive an alert when the food level in the dispenser is low. And the acceptance criteria would be given that the food level sensor is below 25% and the user has subscribed to receive food level alerts, then the system will send an alert with the message pet dispenser food level is low. That would be an example of user story that you'd write to accomplish this. And so that's your conclusion. So in conclusion, in this presentation, I've been able to display feasibility study and gap analysis. I've been able to identify users and buyer personas. I've been able to show the user journey and the journey maps. I've been able to determine the list of business requirements needed for this to be materialized. I've been able to show how I would prioritize and determine the MVP. I've been able to work with the UX designer on designing the app and show you what the mock-up of that app would look like. I've been able to go a little bit beyond what you asked for and show you what the product backlog would look like and some list of the items I'd have in the backlog, and also give an example of the kinds of user stories I would write to accomplish the backlog items. So in all, I've been able to answer your question. I've been able to present to you additional information. I believe with this presentation, I've been able to convey to you that I will be able to do this job. Right? You have to make a pitch, right? Add a pitch at the end. You don't have to say it that way, but say something to say that you want this job and you're here for it, right? And then you close out with questions. That's how you do a presentation case study like this. It was very vague. Notice that they didn't tell you much and they kind of threw in the AI, ML in there. But then if you're smart enough, you realize that they told you that it has to be an MVP. MVP doesn't normally include AI and ML, right? It's just the bare minimum, the bare bones. So they threw it in there, but it didn't. It was a trick for you to see if you're going to go down the ML, the machine learning route, and get into all that fancy stuff when you didn't need to because they told you it was an MVP. So there you have it. You can go to my website, karaleise.com. I have an article on this. And in that article, you can go through this presentation. So go check it out on karaleise.com.